Globally, drug abuse is no more considered only as a social and health problem, but as a development issue. This is because it is consuming the human resource base, especially able-bodied youth. The overwhelming effects of drugs on young people have brought havoc and misery not only to their parents or families, but the entire society. The situation in Africa is particularly disturbing as a UN study reveals that the continent occupies second position worldwide in the trafficking and consumption of illegal drugs. According to the data, 37,000 people on the continent die annually from diseases associated with the consumption of illegal drugs, and further estimates that there are about 28 million drug users. The most commonly used and abused substances are cigarettes, cannabis, cocaine, and alcohol. Alcohol and other related problems are becoming more and more a public health concern, and they represent one of the leading causes of preventable deaths, illness, and injury. However, the recovery process starts with an honest and ongoing desire to be sober. Moving into a life of sobriety differs from one individual to the other. Some quit drinking or smoking on their own. Many need to detox under a doctor's care, while some seek support from a rehab center. Experts say the recovery process begins with the desire to change.
We have those as the clinical side where we send our clients to for the initial screening. And then we come in and do intake assessment and screening, drug testing and things of that nature, and see if they're willing to change. You know, they have to have a willingness to change in this process, no matter what avenue of treatment that you want to go down. They have to be willing to participate in it.
Myths about substances, myths about addicts abound. But the important thing to know is that the person who is substance entangled or involved still wants to make something of themselves. But they must understand sometimes that there's a disease process at play, right? And it's not just mere or sheer willpower that it will lift you out of that. When you are not at the point where you understand these processes, you always tell yourself that you are in charge.
The House of St. Francis, located at Ashaiman in Accra, one of the few treatment centers in the country, has supported over 150 addicts who prefer to call themselves persons in long-term recovery.
What this means is that I haven't found it necessary to use alcohol or drugs since 2008 to date.
It doesn't have a cure, just like hypertension and then diabetes. It can be arrested. That's why you hear some people say, I'm a recovering alcoholic. They're still using the word alcoholic or addict, meaning that the disease is still there. But it can be arrested. And then, if you continue to take measures, you can build upon your life and become, a constructive member of society.
Some have been able to fully recover and now volunteer their services to the center to help other addicts. It was established on 1st August 2002 with about 30 residents, including trainers. It now has inmates and trainers. The members are supposed to go through 3 phases of treatment. The residential facility operates under the auspices of the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra, in partnership with Hopeful Way Foundation, an NGO which for the past 3 years has been managing the day-to-day activities of the 40-bed facility, which accommodates only men with alcohol and substance use disorders. Edwin Ahaji, a former addict, now the manager of House of St. Francis, says the 12 steps recovery approach adopted by the facility is not medicinal, but a physical, mental, and spiritual healing process.
It's a series of steps that when you go through, you'll be equipped with the tools that can help you to confront the challenge of having to use alcohol or drugs to address your problem, and also find a meaningful way of life.
The program has 3 aspects: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. The physical is the inability to stop once you have touched it. The mental is the overpowering desire to use, even though you know it It is killing you. That is an idea that overrides all ideas. And the spiritual aspect is the self-centeredness. I can do it. I can handle it.
According to a clinical psychologist, Dr. Nortedua, the existence of centers like these are very essential if addicts can fully recover and not go into a relapse in order to gain their self-esteem.
A protected environment is essential because some people think they can announce that they've stopped, they've quit, and still keep the same friends. It's a big challenge. You must re-engineer your social network, and this kind of protected environment helps you start doing that. Start relating to different people and start building the confidence and the self-esteem that it takes to tell your friend that I no longer go here or there with you. And indeed, I'm seeing the need to spend less and less time with you. Where you help a person move away from the substance and you don't help them to re-engineer their social network, they'll go back. This is not a dumping ground, right? And people come here to rediscover themselves, to re-harness their God-given potential, right? And more importantly, to be able to live a life free of substances.
He, however, cautioned parents and loved ones against putting too much pressure on the recovering addicts, as recovery is a process.
Most families will ask, well, when will he be well, right? Those people are destination oriented. That's not what you need. You need a journey orientation so that you stick with the person as they go through the phases. Sometimes they slide backwards, sometimes they relapse. And you need a system and a program that will allow you to come back and continue, right? So that's why you probably find that they refer to themselves as recovering, addicts.
Indeed, addiction is no respecter of age, religious status, nor educational background. This is 52-year-old Benjamin Abujaja, married with 4 children who live in the UK. He has been battling the addiction for the past 30 years. 26-year-old nurse Filiberchi used to be addicted to heroin and cocaine but has been clean for the past 4 months.
Just took the first glass or pint and I got hooked on it. And since then I've been battling with it for years, so many years. I lost so much of my expenses and then I even had a house over there. But because of my drinking, it went off from the mortgage. They took it off me.
It got to a time I nearly lost my job and my medical soup, asked me to go and seek for treatment. And through an agreement, I initially went to another rehab before coming here. But I came here just because of drugs, to stop using drugs and how to also manage my own life.
In my using days, I was taken to about 10 churches. You can name them. I wouldn't like to call names here, but you can name them. And it didn't work because they took that responsibility off me. All they did was somebody was responsible for my drinking. Yes. And so I found it easy to justify my drinking anytime I went back.
I was addicted to alcohol or drugs for way over 25 to 30 years. And it's been a long journey. I remember back in the days, going in and out of psychiatric institutions, close to 30 times in and out, in and out.
36-year-old Daniel Papanko, now a resident councillor at House of St. Francis, has been clean for the past 2 years. He stayed on after his recovery to help other addicts overcome their challenge.
I came here in 3 months. I was a mess. I was really doing stuff and I thought I was still strong enough to do it. But after 3 months, something told me that you need more, so I had to request for more months. And after my 6th month, I went back home, did like 3 months, and I was like, why don't I come back, give a helping hand, give back freely what has been given to me.
A Chinese saying on alcohol addiction goes like, first, man takes the bottle and later, the bottle takes the man. Letting go of a bad habit acquired and put into practice for a long period of time can be a daunting journey. So how do they deal with the cravings?
When you're getting the craving or something of that sort, you go to maybe your next door neighbor and tell him, just confide in him that you feel like a drink or a cigarette or something, because you see these walls are very short and sometimes it's very tempting when they leave these doors open, you can just jump over. But with the friend telling you, just conversing, it only takes about 3 minutes for you to forget what you're even thinking about drinking. Then you're all right again, back to normal. But if you don't do those sort of things, you keep everything bottled up, you're bound to deviate from what you are here for.
The House of St. Francis has adopted an evidence-based scientific curriculum which has proven to be successful over the years, with other countries including the USA using the same module. But the success story of House of St. Francis is not without its own set of challenges.
In order for us to be able to continue to help other people who may in turn also help, help others still, we need monies. We need monies to run the place. Most of our costs has been, in providing food, transportation, and then utilities. So we welcome any kind donation, either monetary or in kind, so that we can do our work better, continue to help people.
We need funding. Right now, we're running off of fees and our fees keep going up. We wanted them to be at a point where we can actually get people that cannot pay to come in and get services. Also, we're trying to beef up our program, developing life skills and job placement, and people that don't have skills to train them here and then place them.
We need such facilities. Substance use challenges or disorders are part of human challenge, right? And we build capacity and structures in various other areas. This is an area where we are quite deficient. Hitherto, we've been constrained to handle these things in the psychiatric facilities. And again, the stigma, the challenges places, a lot of constraints on the kind of process and the kind of recovery you are hoping to facilitate.
We still need corporate bodies, individuals to actually come in and help, because it's not easy trying to actually run a rehab like this, and more especially when we want to look at the suffering ones out there who don't have the means to find themselves in a rehab like this.
Looking into the future, the House of St. Francis hopes to expand to include a recovery house for women and incorporate income-generating and job creation services for individuals in recovery. Come September 26th, the facility will embark on a recovery walk to sensitize Ghanaians on drug and alcohol addiction to help reduce the stigma and shame attached to the condition. The good news is that people can manage addiction, live long, useful lives, and be productive as well.
No matter where you are in your disease of addiction or alcoholism, there is hope. And I'm an example of how that hope can materialize.
For GBC 24, Shelley Bewa reporting.